Players. Okay, today we're going to talk about dreams. It's been a while since I talked about dreams, but I want to talk about this, okay? Because I had dreams that came out of nowhere. Like, I don't think that I did anything to make the dreams occur, but who knows? Like, you have to examine things. So, as you know, Judy has mentioned different ways that dreams can happen, that your subconscious could kind of program, can make you pay for something that it's seeing as you going against its programming, some kind of belief you have, something that you're saying, like, is something you're doing that your subconscious says this is not okay. All right. And then I've also mentioned about how, like, I've stayed in hotels. I'm staying in a hotel now. And that was another thing because when I go to the hotels now, I'm always in hotels or motels. So I'm fully aware that there is a lot of etheric connections and, could be potential portals open in beds and things like that. I make sure that I go through I don't want to call it a ritual, but I go through my routine of banishing the building entity, clearing connections, shutting down the portal. Sometimes it'll be a day before I realize, whatever, but I always do it. Now, yesterday, I've been running like tired all week because I had 5 days at a house sit, and I push and push and push and push and push to the last hour when I really should be sleeping. I always do this. It's like, just go to sleep, but I don't do it. So I end up paying for it the next day, and I'm tired, and then I get cranky. Like around 2:00, 2:30, I start getting really cranky. I don't want to like answer people's questions anymore, all that stuff. I'm just like, ugh, because you go through that afternoon slump. So, but the dogs and I were high energy, all that stuff. I was tired, so I had a couple of days of sick time left, and we've got less than 3 months left in the year. So I'm like, okay, I need the day. And you don't have to justify taking your sick time with this company, which I love. You just tell your team leader, I'm taking a sick day and that's it, or I'm taking some sick time and that's it. And you do it. So I had 15 hours of sick time left. So I said, you know what, I'm just going to take the day. I need the day. I'm working on my source connection. Number one, I needed to do some things. I'm intently working on stuff, and I wanted that freedom to do it. I just needed like 3 days off in a row. So yesterday I had a sick day, and so I'm like, I'm going to give myself permission that I'm not going to run out. Last night, I wasn't planning on running out at all to do any delivery driving, nothing. Like, I'm not doing anything. I'm going to hole myself up in this room, and I'm going to recharge as best I can. And I took a nap. And this is where I'm noticing these things. It's naps that I take during the day. If I take a nap in the middle of the day, I can guarantee I'm going to end up having a dream or two. Okay? So, whatever. And I mean, like, I'm in a hotel, so like I kind of have blackout curtains, but not really, but it makes the room dimmer, and more conducive to napping. So I took a nap, and I woke up from a dream. Two dreams. Or yeah, I would say at least two different dreams that I had during that nap. And trying to figure out why. Because I'm like, I did all the things. I closed down the portal. I cut etheric connections in this room. I banished the entity. Like, I do that every time I come here. Every time I come to a hotel, I do this. This is my routine because I sometimes I forget. So I've been very mindful of that. This past couple of weeks have been much more mindful of my routines that I need to do, that I feel I need to do in order to, whatever. So I was like, okay, I don't understand all that, but whatever. But then I had a moment of clarity later on. I'm like, like, because I still really was trying to figure out what it was, because I hadn't really like done a lot of running around that day. I was in the household. I was in the room all day. But the night before, I hadn't gone out either. It was Friday night. I stayed in the room, just doing my stuff. And, like, did I do anything that was low frequency? Did I say anything that could have, like, like I've been having a pretty peaceful time, which is fantastic, right? So I was like, but there's so many different things that could potentially think. But what I think I found what it was, and it's subconscious programming, but not like because I did anything wrong per se. It was because, okay, so when I was younger, like in my 20s, I was living at my grandparents' house. My mother moved to New Hampshire, and my grandparents offered to have me come live with them. So I was. My grandmother, as we know, is cuckoo. She was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. So she was a little like weird about stuff. So like if you slept during the day, she couldn't handle that. But at the time I was living there, I literally worked the third shift. So I would come home at 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning, and the first thing I wanted to do was get some sleep, right? Because that's what I needed to do. I needed to sleep. I needed to recharge. So I would come home and I would go to sleep immediately, and I would be sleeping during the day. And it was guaranteed. She could not freaking let me just sleep in peace. It just bothered her so much. And I stayed up in the attic. There was a finished room in the attic. The attic was finished, but there was eaves, crawl spaces on the sides, right? So like you'd go up the stairs and there was like a main door, you open it, and then you can crawl on either side of one side of the house, and then you'd have to come into the room I was in order to go to the other crawl space. So for whatever reason, I mean, this cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs lady, she would do this all the time. She would have to be digging for something in the crawl space. There literally was nothing in the crawl space that she would need unless it was a holiday, right? Unless it was Christmas time. That's the only time she needed to be in the crawl space digging for stuff. But she'd be up there doing something, or she'd be banging on my door, or she'd like, so it became this ingrained thing that I'm not allowed to sleep during the day. That is a crime if you sleep during the day. So my brain, my subconscious is conditioned to not let me sleep peacefully during the day. I have said this about all the different things that occur that disrupt my sleep. And that goes if I'm trying to sleep in, like, again, it's my day off. I managed to sleep in this morning. I was happy about that. I knew I had to get up and do something before 11 o'clock because I had to extend my stay here for the day. So I set my alarm for 10, but I woke up before 10. But my point is, I got to sleep to a natural time, to when my body said, okay, you should wake up now. And that's always going to set me up for the right kind of day. So, but yesterday it was just like, nope, you're sleeping during the middle of the day. Gonna punish you for that. So yeah, yeah. So examine these kind of things that could be thwarting you. That it's not necessarily that you did anything wrong. It's not necessarily that you yourself personally said, oh, I did this and now I'm going to end up paying for it, because there's nothing consciously going on in my brain saying, if I take a nap right now, I'm going to pay for it. But I can tell you consistently, anytime that I have had to need to take a nap during the day, I will guarantee you I'll have a dream. So that's where it finally clicked for me. And there's reasons why I think this is becoming clearer to me. It's as you work on stuff and your frequency comes up, your consciousness kind of opens up a little more, things become a little more apparent to you, and you can start putting pieces of the puzzle together. You start making connections, connecting the dots, all that stuff. Okay, so that's what I think. That's what I think is going on. So it's just another little tip that I think maybe to be mindful of. Not necessarily per se this, but I'm saying something that you cannot necessarily put your finger on as to why it's happening. If you can't if you can't connect it with something else, with some other action of yours, it's most likely a subconscious program. Okay? All right. Have a great rest of your weekend. And until the next video, bye.